Don't just push on to the customers what you want to sell. Maybe you're getting some bonuses or some commissions or something. Don't do that. If you plan to be a brand ambassador, you need to take this very, very seriously. Not only are you the face of the brand, but you're the voice that's talking to these people. You want it to be, if I don't make sales this week, I'm not getting a paycheck. And that's gonna light a fire under your ass to make these sales. To scale anything past $100,000 a month, you're really gonna be needing. If I didn't have my own brand or my own products, I would still make a lot of money in this industry. If you're thinking about starting a business, and if you aren't sure you have the skills for it, here's a few great ways to get acclimated with the industry while making up to 6 figures a year. If you don't know me already, I'm Chris. I've been in wholesale cannabis since 2004, and I've held one of California's earliest state distribution licenses. I've built and sold a licensed cultivation facility that scaled to $3 million annually before I launched Zodix in 2022, which has been in over 100 licensed retail stores. And then I followed that up with my second brand, Lowski, in 2024, offering fire indoor at low prices. Today I teach cannabis entrepreneurs how to hit $100,000 months without owning a license. Be sure to finish and watch to the end, because that's where I'm gonna reveal the position that I personally would be doing if I wasn't doing what I'm doing today. But first, let's start with the brand ambassador. This is a vital role for a brand. So if you're a brand owner, your brand ambassadors are very important to your brand success. Not only are they the face of your brand at events as well as in-store demos, but they actually lend a version of themselves, their personality, to what the consumers see as part of your brand, so part of that lifestyle. So you wanna make sure that they're a good fit, that they represent your brand properly, that they know how to talk about your brand properly, and it's a solid connection with the demographic that you're speaking to. So number one is gonna be brand ambassador. And this is a very unique position for someone. If you plan to be a brand ambassador, you need to take this very, very seriously. Because like I was saying, not only are you the face of the brand, but you're the voice that's talking to these people, whether that's in the store or at events. And this reflects personally on the brand. You're giving your personality to the brand. And when a good brand ambassador succeeds at their job, the consumers, the people that they're interacting with, they're gonna appreciate them. They're gonna connect with them, they're gonna remember them. So when they see them on an ongoing basis, if they see them at multiple events, if they see them at the same store every time they go in there and we're doing a store takeover or patient appreciation day, and that same brand ambassador's in the store, those customers are gonna resonate and they're gonna build that ongoing relationship with these brand ambassadors. So the other component is on social media. If you're a brand ambassador and you know how to be on social media, you know how to present yourself well on social media, you know how to talk and I say act for the camera, but not really acting, just naturally perform well on camera for whether it's an IG reel, a TikTok post, whatever the brand may need. So you're basically a character for that brand. You're working for that brand to represent that brand, whether that be in person or on social media. And so you need to take this role very serious and do it to the best of your abilities. The better you can do this more consistently, there's really professional brand ambassadors out here in California, and they're starting to become some more in New York too because of how big that market's growing. So take this super serious and don't discount it. Don't think it's like, oh, just like a busboy or something, or just some bullshit job. In fact, it brings up a good point. There's a movie on Netflix called Jiro Dreams of Sushi. And if you watch that, it translates to everything in life. And his basic philosophy, he's been this super popular sushi chef out in Japan for many years. And there's like a 3-year waiting list to get a seat at his restaurant to eat his sushi. But the reason why is he says whether you're a janitor or whether you're the head chef, you should treat that every single job, every single function you do it to above the best of your ability. Do it better than anyone else could ever do it. And whether you're mopping floors or making someone's food or being a brand ambassador or being the star of a YouTube channel, it doesn't matter. Be the best that you can be at that position, and it's gonna translate. You're paying that forward, and people are gonna notice it. They're gonna resonate with you. They're gonna gravitate towards you. So even if you think your job is low on the totem pole or not important, think again, take it as serious as possible, and treat that seemingly low-level job like you're the president of the United States, and you need to take that to its full extent. And that's how you should be treating a brand ambassador job. Not only is it super important for the longevity and the growth of the brand, but it's super important to be able to connect with people on a personal level and be that intermediary. You're the bridge between the consumers and that brand. You're that middle point, so you gotta take this serious. And the better you can do that, the more consistently you can do that, these brands are gonna reward you for it. Not only just for monetary, payments, but top BAs are gonna be brought all around the world with these brands. You're gonna be their first pick to travel with. They need to bring experienced brand ambassadors if they're doing events. For example, later this month, we're going to Germany, and I can't just hire a bunch of random German people that know nothing about the brand. So I have to bring people from California that I've been working with for years, and trusted people that I can bring. And when you're doing that, a lot of those expenses aren't shouldered by you personally. You may have to chip in and pay for certain things here or there, but for the most part, the brand is gonna be covering a lot of these expenses. And I've brought in a lot of people with me all throughout the country, from Vegas to Arizona to New York to Florida, all the way overseas. We've been to England, Spain, Germany, going on twice now. So these opportunities are real, and you got to treat them. You're not going to be asked to go on those major level opportunities if you can't deal with the lower level opportunities locally. So be the best brand ambassador you can be. It's a super important position. Do not discount the importance of this position. And it goes hand in hand with sales, as well as marketing, as well as branding. So you're a very key component to that. Okay, next one, we got bud tenders. Let me write that down here. And this is another potentially seemingly low-level job, but it's not. You guys are super, super important to the entire industry, and the brands wouldn't exist, the products, sales wouldn't exist if it wasn't for these bud tenders. And on top of that, you're the bridge to the customer. Some of these customers come in just to talk to their favorite bud tender. And I know this firsthand because bud tenders tell me this, that they'll have set customers. They'll even wait in lines longer to just be helped by their specific bud tender, even if they have to wait longer, even if someone else could help them. So bud tenders are super important. You're building these personal connections with these ongoing customers. These are your local customers. It's the same way if you go to your coffee shop, you go to your doctor, you go to a grocery store, it doesn't matter. You're gonna see the same faces, and you're gonna resonate with those people over time, and those people are gonna start knowing about you, and they remember you, and you remember their kid's name, and they told you they're going on vacation last week, and next week they come in, you say, oh, hey, how was your vacation, and this and that. And it's an ongoing relationship you build with these people, and they appreciate that. Some of these customers at the stores, more so their patients, are coming in. This is like their medicine. They're coming in to get their prescriptions filled ultimately, and you're the doctor dispensing it to them. And so you got to treat that as like it's a social connection too. It's not just a transaction. So these bud tenders, you're vital to this industry. And from a brand standpoint, the bud tenders are you're out on the field, you're on the front lines, you're out there telling these customers the brands that you personally smoke, that you personally recommend, that you want to make sure that your customers are going to come back with a good experience from your recommendation. If you tell them, yo, try this live resin vape, and they go home and it's harsh and it makes them cough and it tastes like shit, they're not going to be happy. They're going to either distrust you next time when you give them a suggestion, or they're gonna come back and be like, man, Johnny, I had higher expectations from your recommendations. That cart sucked the other day. I just wasted 50 bucks on it. You know, and how's that gonna make you feel? So you wanna make sure you're giving good recommendations and pointing these customers in the right direction. So when it comes down to budtender skills, there's a lot of skills going on in there. You're gonna have sales skills, you're gonna have people skills, communication, team. You got a team you're working with, you got other budtenders, you got your buyers, store managers, probably some compliance people, some warehouse type people, inventory people. So you have a family that you're working with there. You gotta be a team player, you gotta be able to communicate. And as the budtender, you're like the star of the show in the store. You're the people, it's like going into a restaurant, you're the waiter and waitress. It's like the dishwashers and the cooks, they're in the back making things happen, but you're out front, forward facing, you're the star of the show. Some of the more nuanced skills you're gonna have to understand, and the better you can curate these skills personally, not only will it help you better as a budtender, but it's gonna help you more in life too. And just a few of those, just basic sales skills, is being able to build rapport with your customers. And building rapport is as simple as noticing they might have a Zodic shirt on, or a San Francisco 49ers hat on, or whatever, and just making some quick conversation, or say, oh, how about them Raiders, you know, and the 49ers, whatever. You know, you start a conversation on something common. You see them wearing something, you like their hat, you like their shirt, whatever. Start a conversation authentically. Don't just say, I like your shirt, because you're just trying to say that. Like, truly pick something that actually you can genuinely compliment them or talk about. So build rapport with your customers. Remember their names if you can. People love it when you refer to them by their names, and it's an honor for them to hear that you actually remembered and took the time to take the mental capacity to remember their name and use their name. So anytime you can do that, whether it's with a customer, coworker, manager, friend, whatever, utilize their name. It's a small little superpower. The next thing is, don't just push on to the customers what you want to sell. Maybe you're getting some bonuses or some commissions or something. Don't do that. Take the genuine approach. Understand what that customer needs. What's their problem? What's their pain point? What are you trying to solve for? And in some cases, it could just be they want to just smoke as much weed as they can for as cheap as possible. And that's the problem they're solving for. And so you can help them with that, and you can say, hey, I'm in that same boat. I like to smoke hella blunts throughout the day, but I can't be spending 50 bucks an eighth. So instead, I buy this brand. I buy half ounces of Lowski Smalls, and you know, it keeps me good for a few days, and I can roll up as much as I want. So the point is, make genuine suggestions, build rapport with your customers, understand what your customers like, and over time, you're gonna be able to start identifying as the customer walks through the door. You're gonna be like, yo, Johnny, we got these amazing live resin carts in today. I'm sure you're gonna love that. And them seeing that you're thinking about them ahead of time is an even bigger win for both of you. So take sales skills as an importance, and not cheesy sales skills. I'm not talking about trying to be a used car salesperson. I'm talking about real professional sales skills, psychological understand what makes people make their sales decisions, make their buying decisions. Also, as a budtender, your objective is to provide solutions for your customers in a way that also maybe helps them save time coming back to the store. And at the same time, you're increasing your average order volume. And this is important too, because as a budtender, you also want to do good at your job. You also want to be able to sell, and your average order volume means that if your customer comes in and they just buy a single eighth versus buying an eighth, a vape cart, and some gummies, not only did you save your customer a second trip to the store and reminded them maybe they need to grab some gummies for their husband or for their grandparents coming into town or something to help them sleep. instead of just buying their eighth. So leading the customers in a direction that you can increase their average order volume helps you from your job's perspective too. It helps you from the brand's perspective. You're able to get a few more sales under your belt while also getting what the customer needs, saving them a trip back to the store, making thoughtful suggestions and recommendations, and understanding how sales really works from a psychological standpoint. Also, as a bud tender, if you're planning in the future to build your own brand, you're gonna learn a lot of valuable data from this. So from this data, you're gonna have frontline, first-person perspective on buying patterns, on customer concerns and pain points. And the reason why this is important, if you're planning to launch a brand, if you've spent a year or two being a bud tender and then you go on to launch your own brand, that's a year or two of complaints, of hearing customers say what they don't like, hearing customers say what they wish they had, hearing customers say the price of this is too high. If I could get double the amount of these joints for the same price, I buy them every single day. And so you hear things like this that you can't create this in your head. You have to understand it from first-person knowledge. So just absorbing this knowledge of people coming in, telling you what they want, what they wish they had, what they don't like, what they like. This is all just building up in your subconscious. So when you go to do your own product development for your own brands, you're gonna have this wealth of unique data that not a lot of people are exposed to. Even top brand owners, even myself, I haven't spent a year behind the counter at a retail store. And I can't even fathom the amount of information that I would pick up from that if I did. And I've gone into retail stores and been a guest bud tender before, where I'll go there for the day and stand up behind the counter and help customers as they come in. And just that alone is super eye-opening. And so on that flip side, if you're a brand owner currently, do that with some of the dispensaries you're in. Go set up a marketing day with them, promote it, market it, let people know you're gonna be a guest bud tender at that store. Do some giveaways, do some free product giveaways, some major discounts. The last guest bud tender I did, I had some free, I had a bunch of bags that Cookies gave to me. They launched this whole line of camouflage bags. And so I brought a couple of those into the store and promoted that I was doing a raffle of these brand new cookie bags that just came out, this like rolling suitcase, nice backpack. It was really nice stuff. So I did a giveaway, did sales there, but while I was there, I was able to see all these average customers. They weren't coming in for my brand. They didn't even know my brand in some cases, but they were coming in just every day, regular customers walking through the door. You know, some weren't even looking for flowers, some wanted pre-rolls, some wanted carts. I was hearing their pain points, the price ranges that they were looking for, the products they were looking for. And this is just from one afternoon being there. So imagine if you worked in that position for a year. So treat that as gold. That's gold that not even the richest people in this industry may have access to. So as a bud tender, you have such a unique perspective, especially if you plan to be a brand owner or manage a brand in the future, or work for a brand in the future. Having that bud tender perspective is super, super valuable. So be sure to use that on your resume and as a selling point for yourself in future job interviews, especially in the cannabis industry. So if you made it this far, that means this content is definitely aligned for you. If you want more of this content, it won't cost you a dime. Just join my community. It's free. The link's below. And you're obviously meant for this content. And in that community, not only are there other like-minded cannabis entrepreneurs there, but we put out more in-depth breakdowns. I got weekly PDFs that come out. We have an inner circle group. We have calls. This is very valuable info if you're taking this serious and want to make money in this industry. So let's get to the final position, that this is what I would be doing if I wasn't doing what I do now. If I wasn't a brand owner, if I wasn't doing wholesale sales, I would be doing retail sales. And this is another vital role for a brand. A brand does not exist without at least one salesperson, one good salesperson. And to scale past anything past $100,000 a month, you're really gonna be needing more than one salesperson, and ideally a sales director to manage your sales team. So let's get into it real quick. I prefer, if I'm doing sales, I would wanna be commission only. And by being commission only, it means that you're gonna get the maximum amount of commission and you're not gonna be leveraged by getting a small amount of salary. So what companies and brands will try to do with a salesperson, from the brand standpoint, let me just draw a little graph out here. So from a brand standpoint, they want the commission to be as low as possible. From a salesperson standpoint, you want your commission to be as high as possible. So what we see, average commissions in the industry is anywhere from 3 to 10%. And that's gross sales. What gross means is the total sales, full invoice value. It's not profit, it's full sales, full revenue collected, cash collected. So gross sales, the way that percentages work, commissions, if you're getting commission on gross sales, it's gonna be a smaller number. If you're getting commission on just profit, it's gonna be a higher number. But the problem with waiting for commission on profit means you have to wait for a full accounting cycle to go through. So you have to calculate the cost of goods sold, any marketing expenses, distribution fees, sales commissions if you're doing on net profits. So that's why, as a salesperson, it's just much easier, much cleaner to just get a smaller percentage of a larger number, which is your gross commission. And that means that you don't have to wait for all that other accounting to happen. If you sell $100,000 worth of product and you're getting a 10% commission, you're getting a $10,000 paycheck. It's just easy as that. But if you sold $100,000 of product and you're waiting for, let's say, a 20% commission on profit, that could actually end up being less than $10,000, because even though you're getting a higher percentage, that number that percentage is a smaller number, because you're taking off your cost of goods sold, you're taking out marketing expenses, you're taking out distro fees, you're taking out anything else, brand ambassador fees. So by the time that number's chipped away at what's left over, even though you're getting a higher percentage of it, you're getting a higher percentage of a much smaller number. And then on top of that, you gotta wait all that time for your accounting to go through. So what's standard practice is a lower percentage of gross revenue that's called top line revenue. It means that there's no waiting for accounting. It's just whatever you sell, you get your commission on. And we're seeing anywhere from 3 to 10% on that. And if you're in the low end, that means you're getting some salary combined with it. So if you're hitting a 3% commission, that usually means you're getting anywhere from a $30,000 to a $60,000 a year salary. And by doing that, you have the peace of mind knowing that, okay, if I don't get any sales this week, at least I'm gonna get my paycheck. The problem with that for me is that you're selling yourself short. You're leaving commission money on the table for the peace of mind of getting a weekly paycheck. And for me, that's fine, because I haven't had a truly paying job since 2005 or 2006. Everything else has all just been either my own business, and the 2 other jobs I've had have been fully commission only. 2 sales jobs. One, I was doing door-to-door sales for AT&T, switching over Comcast customers, switching over their cable and internet to AT&T. And that was just cold call, just knocking on doors and getting them to switch over. I had to do it live right there in front of them. They had to call in to the call center, leave their social security number, pass a credit check, and then also get the installation done like 2 weeks later for me to even get my commission. And I was repeatedly the top performer in the office. I was somehow able to do this. I surprised myself doing that. So then I led to me doing another sales-based commission-only job where it was cold calling. I was selling cell phones for Sprint to business accounts anywhere in the country. And this opportunity for me was huge, because I looked at it as being in California, I could call any business in the country. So as soon as I got into work at 8 a.m., I'd be calling the East Coast companies and working my way back to the West Coast by the end of the day. That way I was hitting these companies throughout the country, cold calling, and it's the law of averages at that point. But I was getting paid a commission based on every single phone that I would sell. And so that to me is that's opportunity. And that's why I prefer to get a commission only sales job versus getting base salary plus commission, plus a smaller commission. That's for scarcity mindset people that don't believe in themselves, that they don't believe that they can make their sales weekly, every single week. And you have to do that. There's a book called The Art of War by Sun Tzu. And one of the strategies in there, they pull their boats up to a battle on a beach. And it's either an island or like a waterlocked area. They pull their boats up. Sun Tzu has all his soldiers get off the boat, and then he orders them all to burn the boats down. Just light them on fire and annihilate their boats. So what it did is they had zero choice. They had to win that battle. It was either they die, but there's no escaping that place. So what Sun Tzu did is he made it no other option. They had to win. And that's how I look at it with sales. You don't want to have that safety net of having a paycheck. You want it to be, if I don't make sales this week, I'm not getting a paycheck. And that's gonna light a fire under your ass to make these sales. Once you start building out your sales network, you start seeing that it's better than that paycheck, because through your relationships, through your connections, through your expertise, your sales expertise, you can rely on yourself to make more than what that paycheck would end up being. So maybe you would have gotten a $1,000 a week paycheck, $2,000 every 2 weeks, right? You can for sure surpass that by having a 7 to 10% commission only sales job. I just spoke to a sales guy last night. He's one of the top sales guys for one of the top brands. They're not like the top brand in the state, but they're definitely moving big numbers, right? Just him alone, he's doing between $250,000 to $300,000 a month in sales, just him alone. So that means, let's just make the math easy. If he is getting a 10% commission on that, that's $25,000 to $30,000 a month in clear commission in his pocket that he doesn't have to. And on that, if you structure it right, you're not paying taxes on that either. So if you got a $20,000 paycheck, W-2 paycheck, they're pulling out 30-40% of that right off top before they even issue you the check. So out of a $20,000 check, you're probably losing $6,000 right off top. You're probably only walking home with $14,000. As an independent salesperson, you should be a 1099 employee where you're basically setting up your sales business as an entrepreneurial business, where you're keeping track of your expenses, you're collecting full payments, and then you're paying your taxes at the end of the year. And by doing this, you're keeping your expenses high to match your income, and then whatever's left over, you pay tax on that. It's gonna be way less than if you had a paycheck. So the sales position, not only is there huge upside to it, you're for sure gonna be in the 6-figure bracket if you're working for a good brand doing sales, that you can build up a consistent sales book of business. So you're for sure gonna be making a 6-figure salary as a salesperson, working for a solid brand that has good offerings that you can build a solid book of business for. And in states like California or New York, there's so many stores and there's so much territory to cover. All you need is really 30 to 50 solid stores that pay their bills, that move product, that have good foot traffic, that have good parking, and that you can actually put that in your mind. You know that they're gonna sell this much on a minimum every month, and that becomes your paycheck. And so building up these house accounts that you represent, you're building your stability, you're building your security, your safety net of your sales. And so think about that guy that's got a $300,000 book of business a month. Let's say he does have a bad month. He's not gonna have a 50% bad month. So even at 50% off, even if he was sick and let's say he didn't even hit the field, he couldn't even do his work. Granted, if you have a book of business that big, most of that's gonna be, you have these relationships. You can get a phone call like, yo, I'm not in town today. what can I get for your reorder though? I'm gonna make sure you guys get your order on time. It's like you're building these relationships where you don't even have to be there every single day, but once you have that ongoing relationship, they know they're gonna have this much of an order coming in and you're handling that order. So you can be sick one week, you can take some time off here and there, as long as you're continuously managing your accounts. So this sales position, not only is it such an entrepreneurial position, it's the best of both worlds. You basically have your own business with almost zero overhead, because really all your overhead as an independent salesperson is your car and your cell phone. I'm trying to think if there's anything else, but I really don't think, other than maybe you got to cover some travel, stuff like that. But you want to track these expenses anyway, because these expenses are going to go against your income. So you want to beef up your expenses. You want to have your business buy the things that your life needs to participate in, and not your personal bank account. You want your business bank account to make those purchases. So as a salesperson, you're basically an entrepreneur, and you're not having to take all the risk that a business owner is. So let's say me as a brand owner, I have to print up the packaging. I have to buy the raw materials. I have to pay for testing. I have to pay manufacturing. I have to pay sales commission. I have to pay brand ambassadors. So I have to pay all that stuff just to get product on the shelf. And then it converts to sales. And then that money comes back to me, right? As a salesperson, you skip all that. So there's no packaging, there's no raw materials, there's no testing, there's no sales commission you gotta pay, there's no brand ambassadors, none of that. As a salesperson, you come in after that. All that's been paid for by the brand owner. So now you're just coming in saying, okay, what do you got for me to sell today? And you just send out your menu, hit up your stores, hit up your buyers, and now you're getting a cut. You're literally a business partner with that business, but you just made that business take all the risk, put out all the money for you, and now they're giving you a ready-to-go product with marketing behind it, with consumer demand, with a sales network, and now all you have to do is plug that into your sales network and literally add up your commissions. And I'm obviously oversimplifying it a bit, but when you really break it down, you're working for yourself, you're an entrepreneur, you have your own business, you're keeping track of your expenses, you're managing how much tax you pay. That's literally the definition of a business owner. And as a salesperson, you don't have to go open a storefront. You don't have to go get all your branding designed. You don't have to go get your packaging printed up from China and shipped over here. You don't have to go buy the raw materials. You don't have to pay the packaging facility to pack it. You don't have to pay the distributor to deliver it to the stores. You don't have to pay the salespeople to sell it. As the salesperson, you're getting paid no matter what. Every sale you make, whether that company is profitable or not, you're getting your sales commission and you're gonna be profitable because you have so low overhead. So I can't stress it enough. If I wasn't doing what I'm doing now, and what a lot of people too, if you're in the wholesale industry and you've been flipping packs, you've been selling pounds for however long, whether it be years, 5 years, your whole life, doesn't matter. This is an amazing, amazing transition because it gives you that same freedom. You're not gonna have a 9-to-5 job. You're not gonna have a boss breathing down your neck. You will have slight responsibilities to do as a salesperson. You're also representing the brand, so you can't just be careless about it. However, it's not a strict 9-to-5 clock in, clock out type of job. So it's more like you're used to if you're already moving packs and flipping pounds, making commission on your own, worrying about your own expenses, worrying about your own bills, worrying about your own insurance. It's perfect for you. And if that's what you've been used to doing, you're not gonna want a 9-to-5 job. You're not gonna wanna clock in and clock out. And this gives you that best of both worlds. You're getting a little bit more stability, consistency. You're actually in the licensed market now where these networks exist. These stores are there to stay, especially in California and New York. There's so many of them. You just continuously build up your network. And as you're going to more expenses, let's say you're traveling to events, you're going to local events, you're going to national events, you're going to global events. These are all write-offs for you. So not only are you going to these events and you're spending your money to be there, but you're able to write off all those expenses, even the dinners you eat, the plane tickets, the hotels, any sort of entertainment you do. So all that's a write-off because you're out there networking. You're also building your network. You're also meeting new people, meeting new stores to sell to, maybe even meeting with new brands that you can sell their products and add to your menu of offerings. And that's the other plus as a salesperson. If you're working with multiple brands, that's how you get a pay increase. You don't have to worry about like, oh, I need another extra percentage point from this one brand. No, get another brand that doesn't compete with what you're selling with your first brand. And say you're selling flour for brand A, now get brand B in there who's selling edibles, and then brand C in there who's selling vapes. And now when you go into these same stores to sell that flour that you were originally gonna just sell them flour, now you have 3 brands that you could sell them, maximize your average order volume, you know, and get these stores multiple products at the same time. And ideally team up with a distributor that is gonna be distributing all the products that you're selling. That way it's a single delivery point, single invoice. It makes your job as a salesperson so much easier. So if you're interested in this, I have a lot more content coming out about independent sales agents, and it's gonna be very valuable for you to absorb that if this is something you're taking serious. If that's the case, be sure to join my free community. The link is below. And if you're also interested in starting and scaling a licensed brand without owning a license, there's a different link down there. I made a crash course on how to build out your brand. Please watch that. If it's something that resonates with you and you need additional help with that, there's a link to book a call with me and we'll talk further there. Talk to you soon. Thanks for supporting the content and best of luck making money out there.